Hi everyone, I hope you've all been well. I'm here to do my August update. I know it's a bit early, but I probably won't have time in the coming week, so I thought I'd do it today. I've got a couple of finishes, which is really exciting, and a few other things to show you, and I might do a couple of tags at the end depending on how we're going for time. So first the finishes. If you've seen, follow me on Instagram and on the various Facebook pages, you would have seen that I'd finished my Under the Moonlight mermaid, so that's done. So it's very exciting because it took me about 9 months to finish, just over 9 months. So this is it. She's absolutely huge, but I'm really pleased with how she's turned out. I was really nervous about the beading, but I watched the Lovely Arrays video on beading, and I can highly recommend that. That was really helpful, and I actually ended up enjoying the beads, and it only took me about a week to do 920 beads. So a close up of those. And her tail. The white border, hopefully, I don't know if you can see that, there's a white border around this gold pattern here, this white border on the left and the right of it. They were supposed to be white beads as well, but I was initially quite scared about beading, so I decided to use Satin DMC for that in 5200 number, so the Satin White DMC, and that turned out really well. I'm pretty pleased with that. I don't think the beads would have sat that straight, so I'm really happy with that. But she is now finished. I don't know when I'll get her framed or if at all. I'm thinking of taking it to the framers just to get a quote, hopefully this week, and I'll see how much it'll cost, but because she's so large I'm expecting it to be quite expensive, and I don't know if I want to spend that money right now, so I'll see how we go with that. I know some of you will be pretty excited that I've also finished Afternoon in Paris. I just finished that this morning. So this one I only started in May as part of Mania, but it's now done as well. So that didn't take very long, probably about just over 3 months. And Caroline Mazzio mentioned to me that now they're releasing Afternoon in London. I think it was released last week, about a week ago. So I've started looking at fabric for that and that kind of thing. See what I'll do. Whether I will definitely do it, but I don't know when at this stage. And then the other day I was cleaning out my cupboard and I thought this was still just a kit, but I've actually started it. So this was in my stash. It is by this brand. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. But it doesn't actually have a name. I've looked everywhere for a name, but it doesn't. I don't think that's the name. I'm pretty sure that's the company. So I'm just calling it Mediterranean Avenue because that's what it looks like to me. It reminds me of Mediterranean sides, laneway or that kind of thing. It's leaflet 76436 and 76437. So yeah, I don't know if that refers. I'd say that refers to this pattern, but there's no name on it. But I had actually started it. I'd completely forgotten that I had. I've only made a very small start. I think it would have been started on a holiday or something. So I've only just done the top left corner there. So not much at all. But I might just save this for my holiday. We're going on holidays next year. And we're going to be away for about 2 months. So yeah, I might do it then. I might take it with me because it's nice and compact. Just take it in this and it will go nicely on the plane, that kind of thing. I haven't worked on any other whips. When I got really close to finishing the mermaid, I just worked on that one, and I worked madly on that one to finish it. And then when I finished that, I picked up Afternoon in Paris, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fantastic if I finished both during August? And I did. I finished Paris this morning, so I'm really happy that I've got 2 finishes out of the way. So now I've got 9 whips, if you include that Mediterranean one. So yeah, I haven't worked on any other whips, like I was saying, but I'll probably pick up Once Upon a Time. Maybe, if not the rest of the month, I'll probably start that again in September. The rest of this month is really busy. We've got family come up from Melbourne and from the South Coast, and they're staying in Sydney this week, so we'll probably be spending a lot of time with them. The weekend, we've got a first birthday party. We've got my daughter's birthday. We're not having a party for her, but we're having family over. Monday, I've got my niece's confirmation. So yeah, it's just really busy for the rest of the month. So I don't know how much stitching I'll get done, but I'm just pleased to have got 2 out of the way. So it's really good. I have a very small haul, not patterns or kits or anything like that. But I mentioned in my last video that I got some bead storage and I wasn't happy with the size of it. And Caroline and Stitching May commented on my video and said, gave me 2 options where I could get the one that everyone else has, the larger one. So I went and looked and got the cheapest that I could find. So I got one. I won't show you. I won't open it. Everyone knows what it looks like, but yeah, it's just your standard bead storage. So I'm very happy with that. I actually got it from an Australian carrier, so that was really good. And it came within, I think, 3 days of being posted, which was excellent. And then just the other haul was some needle minders. And these are from, they're from Christine. I can't remember the name of her Facebook page, but I will put the link below. So I've got a little flower, Mickey Mouse, dolphins, ice cream, and a Christmas stocking. So they're really, really cool, really blingy. Needle Minder Obsession, that's the name of her page. But I'll put the link down below. They're really good. She's an Australian as well. She's in Australia, and she does some really great work as well. She's got some really nice needle minders. As you can see, they're beautiful. So that's really good. So that's my haul, and I'm only 8 minutes in, so I might just do a couple of tags. The first one is the Stash Queen Stash Enhancement Tag. So number 1, what is your favourite pattern in your stash that you haven't started yet, and why? I think that would be probably the Victorian Charm. I haven't started it simply because I've just got too much on the go at the moment. But I have been thinking of starting it now that I've finished 2. But I'm also trying to decide what I'm going to do for the rest of the year and what I'm going to be doing next year. So I still haven't actually taken it out of its package and started it yet, but I do want to start it pretty soon. That would probably be my favourite. Number 2, what is your favourite non-pattern item in your stash? I think my needle minders. I just like I like bling. So yeah, I like the look of those, and they're functional, so it's always good. Number 3, what do you have the most of in your stash? Patterns, floss, fabric, or other? Floss and fabric I don't really collect, unless I only collect what I need for specific projects. So I'm not not really someone who goes into floss of the month clubs and fabric of the month clubs. I just buy when I need to get up a project. So I don't have many fabrics and flosses, and I don't really collect hand-dyed floss at the moment. I like looking at it on other people's videos, but unless I have a specific use for it, I won't buy it. So definitely the most I have in my stash would be patterns, and then kits. Number 4, besides your LNS and the big box craft shops, where is your favourite place to buy stitching supplies? I don't really have an LNS. I think the closest one is probably about an hour's drive away, maybe an hour and a half. So it's not that local. Big box craft shops in Australia, we've got Spotlight and Lincraft, and Beyond DMC at ridiculously expensive prices. You wouldn't really call it, you wouldn't go in there for cross-stitch supplies, because there isn't really much there. So I think we've got, we're really lucky in that we've got Colour Cascade Fabrics, which is Australian. The prices are excellent, reasonable. So yeah, prices are reasonable, service is fantastic. So that's one option, but also 123 Stitch, which has the best variety. So even though it's overseas and the Australian dollar is really low at the moment, that's probably the best option at the moment. It's 123 Stitch. Number 5, name one item you have purchased that was not meant for cross-stitch use that you have repurposed. Tins. I like tins. I really like using, chocolate tins and biscuit tins and repurposing them. So yeah, I've got a lot of little chocolate tins, and I keep just bits and pieces in there, scissors and needles and extra needle minders and that kind of thing. So yeah, I love tins. Name one item in your stash that you were enabled to purchase after seeing someone else with that item. Just one. I have many charts that I've seen other people stitch up that I've gone out and bought. Mainly, I'd say the first one's Victorian Charm. I really liked that one, and when I saw it on YouTube, and I went and bought it. Also Santa's Village by the Country Cottage Needleworks, which I'm hoping to start in November, like I said last month. But there's many that I've bought because I've seen other people stitching them. If someone asked you what was the one must-have pattern for their stash, which pattern would you recommend? This is really difficult. I don't think there is one that I could recommend to everyone. I think everyone has their own taste, and that's what makes it so fantastic. That everyone has their own taste. Everyone likes to stitch different things. Some people like samplers. Some people like big projects. Some people like a mixture. Some people like fairies and fantasy and dragons, and other people like more realistic things. Everyone's got different tastes, so it's really hard to sort of say everyone must have one. As far as designers go, I'd say Haid would probably. I know they're very intimidating when you first look at them, and I was extremely intimidated when I first got one. But really, they're just crosses. There's no back stitching, there's no French knots, there's no specialty stitches. They're all just crosses. And I think if you looked at the website, I think everyone would find one that they would like. They really do cater for every taste. So I think everyone, if I had to recommend, I think everyone should look at Heaven and Earth Designs. Number 8, if someone asked you what one design they had to check out what one designer they had to check out to enhance their stash, what would it be? Well, I answered that in number 7, so Heaven and Earth Designs. But also Mirabilia's, I think think Mirabilia, I don't know, I wouldn't say that they cater for every taste, but I think most people would like something that Mirabilia has to offer, and they're probably a good introduction too. They've got a little bit of back stitching, but I think as a stitcher you eventually come across that anyway. They also have beading. So yeah, I think, yeah. One thing I would recommend if you are doing a Mirabilia is maybe to change the colour of the fabric that they recommend, and venture out into hand-dyed fabrics. The only Mirabilia I've ever started, which is Lady of the Mist. I didn't like the picture on the packaging it came on, and the recommended fabric. So I got some hand-dyed fabric, and it just enhanced it so much. It just made it look that much nicer. So, and an update on that one, I will be starting on that one probably next month. Starting back on it. I have done quite a bit of it. I'm probably about halfway on that one. It's been my whip for about 6-7 years now, and I really do want to finish it, and I'm hoping to finish it by next year at the latest. So, but yeah, I think everyone should check out Mirabilia's. Okay, the next tag is Teresa's Tag, Teresa Little Stitcher. Number 1, do seasons affect your stitching? I think the seasons used to affect my stitching. I think I used to stitch more in winter than in summer, and that's just because in Australia in Sydney it gets so hot sometimes. It's just really horrible to have fabric all over you, and you just don't feel like, stitching. And yeah, but now I've got an air conditioner, and also with the baby, I just stitch during her nap times regardless of what the seasons are. So not really anymore. Probably used to, but not anymore. Number 2, do you prefer stitching with a lap stand, a floor stand, or in hand? I currently don't have any stands, so I stitch with a frame in hand. Number 3, do you prefer stitching with a hoop, Q-snap, frame, or in hand? I use Q-snaps for just about all my projects. So I have ordered a scroll frame just off a stash unload site. The lady was selling it off quite cheaply, and I thought that's a nice way to sort of try it out before I get a proper one. So I'm waiting on that one to come. Number 4, do you use a stitching light or no additional lighting? No, I find that the overhead lighting in this apartment's usually okay, and if it's during the day that I'm stitching, I sit next to my window. We've got a big balcony over here to my right, and I can sit next to that. There's a big door, and that lets in plenty of light, so I can use the light that comes in through there. Number 5, do you use a magnifier? I have a magnifier, but I don't tend to use it much. Sometimes I wear glasses depending on how tired I am. With regards to the magnifier, I had one that actually clipped onto the edge of a Q-snap, but what I was finding was that it would often topple over, so I'd be stitching and all of a sudden just fall on top of my work. So I didn't find it all that good, and it's just been put away, and I probably won't use it, but I don't find the need for a magnifier. It also tends to make me get lost on where I am. I can't always find where I'm supposed to be stitching, so I find that it makes things worse for me. It doesn't really work. Number 6, do you stitch one-handed, two-handed, or both? Because I don't use a stand at the moment, I stitch one-handed. I have stitched two-handed when I had a PVC stand that I made, but I put it away when my daughter started crawling. Started pulling things on top of her, so I had to put it away. But I did try the two-handed method then, and I did like it. So when my baby's a little bit older, I'll probably start using a stand again and stitch with two hands. Number 7, do you prefer to stitch alone in a quiet place or around the family in a living area? If I've got my husband, I never stitch when my baby's awake. I always stitch when she's asleep. If my husband's home, I'll stitch in the same room that he's in. you know, I don't want to sort of he works full time, and I don't want to sort of spend hours and hours in a separate room when not that we have much room anywhere else, but even if I did have, I wouldn't want to spend hours and hours away from him in the short time that he is home. I'd like to spend it with him. So he tends to stay in the lounge room of an afternoon, and so do I. So number 8, what is your preferred fabric and count? My preferred fabric is Lugana, or any type of even weave. I've used Ada and I've used linen. I don't mind them, but I prefer even weave. My preferred count would probably be 28 or 32. But again, I think it just depends on the project. If a kit comes with Ada, I'll usually just stick to what's in the kit. But if I have to choose my own, I will buy Lugana. And usually it depends on, if there's a lot of beads, I tend to go for 28, because just after doing the mermaid, I've noticed that beads don't sit very well if it's a very small count, and if there's a long line of them, they don't tend to stack up very well because they get too squashed. So I think 28 is probably the best for a lot of beading, but I also don't mind 32. I might try and venture into the higher counts at some stage, but I haven't yet. I think the highest I've gone is 32 at this stage. Number 9, have you ever lost your Stitchy Bug? How many times, and how did you get it back? I used to lose it quite a lot in the past. Like I said before, I tended not to stitch during summer just because you don't want fabric sitting on you when it's so hot, and also your hands get sticky and that kind of thing. But I think and then I'd probably go years and years without stitching just because I just didn't want to. I think the way to get it back in the past would have been I would have gone to craft shows. Nowadays, if you went to a craft show, you probably wouldn't find any stitching shops at all, which is really, really sad, but not too many of them tend to come to the craft shows anymore. I think now I'd just go to YouTube. There's so many floss tube videos, which is fantastic, and you see what other people are working on and the variety of projects that everyone has on the go. And yeah, there's always inspiration there. Number 10. Number 10. Do you travel and stitch? Would you stitch on public transport, or is it a home hobby only? I used to catch trains to work when I did work full time, but I always only took a book. I never took my stitching, and that's just because they get so crowded and you really don't want to be, carrying floss and patterns, and you'd probably just end up losing something. I don't think it's a very good train hobby. Sometimes I take it in the car, but I don't tend to like stitching in the car. I do tend to prefer to be at home and inside when I'm stitching. There are a couple of other tags on the go, but I think I'm going to have to wrap it up because my daughter's starting to stir. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching and for subscribing and for your comments. Enjoy the rest of the month and enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of the week, and happy stitching, and I will see you next month. Bye everyone.